here's the first question. Now we have a prime minister who's clearly has the support of the international community. Yet many Haitian question his hold onto power and his legitimacy, and they wish to have a new agreement to replace him. Um, my question for you today is, what is the way out? What do you say to those who wish the prime minister, to stay in place because of the lack of an alternative? What do you say to these people?
Well, thank you for having me today. Um, the current situation is a very complex one and very difficult. The current prime minister is involved in the killing of the 58th president of the country, Mr. Jovenel Moïse, and he was pushed to power by some members of the international community who have been behind him for the last 8 months. During that time, he was involved in 16 different obstruction of justice due to his current status with the judicial system and his behavior for the past 8 months. The current prime minister cannot organize free and fair election in the country or re-establish security. If you look at the second paragraph of the resignation letter of the special envoy of the United States, Ambassador Daniel Foote, it states clearly that the current prime minister is involved in the managing of the things that are being the tenure of security in country. So the real question is how to move forward. What's next? There are some of the police involved also in the killing of the president who came up with several arguments, and those arguments called Montana Plan and some others are not either the solution. The proposed Montana agreement is an attempted coup by Lavalas, who put forward the former head of the central bank, future. These guys was involved in the stealing of 93% of the gold reserve of the country is completely corrupt. So we cannot move forward. So that's why I put forward a very simple solution. Haiti has 10 geographic departments. Select one man, one woman per geographic department within civil society, not involved in corruption, not involved in politics. And you have a total of 20 people according to Article 149 of the Constitution, name the Prime Minister and the 18 ministers among those 20 people with a very simple agenda. Reestablish security, organize the referendum on the new Constitution, organize legislative and presidential election, and support an independent investigative judge to make sure that the people who are behind the killing of the president are put in jail.
Mhm, mhm. Mr. Lucas, you mentioned elections, and according to your proposal, the main one of the main agenda of this new government will be to organize elections. How realistically can we organize election this year or even the following year when we look at what's happening on the ground?
Well, remember, as a specialist in political development, involved in election, political party buildings, and governance in more than 70 countries around the world. I work in Africa, I work in Latin America and the Caribbean, I work in Afghanistan and the Middle East, and I have an extensive experience on helping with election in Haiti. I helped with the organization of the referendum in 1985. I helped with the organization of the election in December 1990, the two-round elections in June 95, the presidential election in 96, the local and legislative election and so on. I wrote more than 38 pre and post electoral reports on Haiti, and I testify in Congress on the issue. You can reestablish security in 2 months with the support of Brazil and Mexico, and organize the election, return the country to constitutional order in less than 6 to 7 months. It's possible. That has been done before. Remember, in 2006, we had the same situation where the gang sponsored by President Aristide conducted Operation Baghdad 1 that killed 142 police officers, almost 2,000 people, raped more than 800 women. Operation Baghdad 2 with the gangs as well and Pakistan is the same thing. And with the support of Brazil, the police was able to reestablish security in less than 6 weeks. In the current situation, 95% of the country is secure. The problem area is the metropolitan area of the France, meaning Cité Soleil, Martissant, Village de Dieu, Croix des Bouquets, and Delmarchou. Security can be reestablished in less than 7 weeks.
So you're comparing the situation back then to the situation now, and you're thinking that based on that track record, we're going to be able to establish security within less than half a year and conduct proper elections. Am I understanding that right? With the help of Brazil and what's the other country again?
Mexico.
And Mexico. Am I understanding that right?
Yes. Remember, we have a pretty good picture of who are behind the gang. There are 5 or 6 oligarchs of Pétionville, the current prime minister, and probably 3 or 4 other political leaders. And the gangs, I think there is a pretty good picture who are behind those gangs, and it's a matter of capabilities. And I think the Haitian National Police, with the support of the Brazilian and the Mexican force, can get rid of those gangs in less than 7 weeks.
Okay. We understand. The people have heard.
We'll have to put forward the fund for that. In my evaluation, something like that will cost $100 million.
Okay. And why do you think the international community isn't jumping onto that plan? What's keeping him from? Because if it sounds so good, and it does sound good to us, why aren't they jumping on?
Well, Haiti is not a priority right now. Eastern Europe, with what happened in Ukraine, the threat in Poland, Romania, Latvia, Estonia, the move China might make toward Taiwan, those are the priorities of the world. Haiti is not a priority. So that's why I think if we have a legitimate government, through bilateral relations, we can directly talk to the Brazilians and Mexicans to get the support needed for the police, and we establish security in less than 7 weeks, and elections can be organized in less than 6 months, 6 to 7 months. And by the end of 7 months, you will have the 51st legislature in place and the 59th president, and putting together constitutional order. It's 7 months, no more than that.
Mr. Lucas, we're going to jump on a different topic, still Haiti. We're going to talk about President Jovenel. As you know, he was brutally assassinated, and some people doubt that Mr. Jovenel will ever find justice, that Haiti will ever find justice. Can you tell us a little bit about the state of the investigation and the state of finding justice for Jovenel?
Basically, with the support of the head of the UN, the international community put in government the people behind the killing of the president. We know clearly that there are several layers of people involved in the killing of the president. We have some Americans involved. It's clear there. If you look at the tweet published by one of the killers, John Joel Joseph, on February 6, 2021, he stated that he got orders from the State Department. And we know clearly that President Biden stated previously that President Jovenel was elected for 5 years. His term in office was ended in February 2022. So clearly the Biden administration is involved into the killing of the president. The question is, do we have rogue elements within the U.S. administration that was involved into the killing of the president? That is the first layer. The second layer, we have the oligarchs. They are behind the planning and the financing of the killing. The names coming out for that are Reginald Boulos, Dimitri Vob, Jean-Marie Vob, Pasha Vob, Sami Andal, and Ojo. We have another layer, which is the Colombian mercenaries contracted by the company CTU from Florida. They were 26. Most of them have been arrested by the people of Haiti and rendered to the Haitian National Police and our judicial system. We have the political actors involved into the killing of the president, the current prime minister, who is a member of the party Unité, Ariel Henry, John Joel Joseph, the former senator, as well as Badou Joseph. They are with the political party Unité. And you have the head of PHTK, Michel Martelly, and his brother Yosiko Saint-Remy, that are involved in the killing of the president. So we know that there are several layers. Most of the men involved into the killing are known. Since the oligarchs and the killers are in power, for the past 8 months, despite the total control they have of the 3 branches of government, they were not able to stop on the advancement of the investigation. They did 16 to 17 obstruction of justice, trying to manipulate the judicial system. Don't forget that the judicial branch is also involved into the killing of the president. The 2 Supreme Judge courts directly are involved into the killing of the president, Michael Gabriel and Wendell Fox. And you have complicity within the Cour d'appel and Tribunal de Première Instance, manipulated by the current Minister of Justice, who is appointed by the oligarch and Ariel Henry. The current Minister of Justice was in jail. He did 6 months in jail for drug dealing, drug trafficking. So all these people, I can say, the coalition that you have in power right now, trying to prevent justice, are a coalition of murderers involved in the killing of the president, kidnapping, and some other stuff. So I think the issue is moving forward, despite all the obstruction. We think that there is a serious judge who could manage, serious investigative judge who could manage the issue. His name is Mathieu Chanlat. Remember when he was appointed back in July, the oligarch and Ariel Henry to intimidate him, they killed one of the assistants. That's why it was kind of, the international community is serious about supporting justice in Haiti. They should ensure that Mathieu Chanlat is appointed and ensure his security, so we can put all those people in jail and ensuring first that any future president of Haiti will not be killed for the same reason that President Jovenel Moïse was killed. Remember, he was killed for 10 economic reasons and 2 political reasons. He was conducting some reforms. The oligarchs, the core of oligarchs did not like the reform because they could steal anymore from the states. That's why they're killing for the 10 various reforms in the oil importation area, electricity, roads, building roads, and other issues like customs where they were stealing, and in the central bank, as well. So these reforms took away $45 billion that the oligarch used to steal from the state. And for those economic reasons, he was killed by the oligarch and their foreign associates. And there are also 2 political reasons. He was fighting to ensure that the election took place and the referendum. past September, and as well as he was fighting against systemic racism. As you know, for the past 30 years, the three branches of government in Haiti was captured by the oligarchs, and he was trying to ensure that the institutions went back to the people, and he was killed for this political reason.
So you're saying that basically with all these people that are involved, are you saying that it might we're still gonna be able to find justice for Jovenel? How we gonna overcome the political power or the political will of the prime minister, for example, who you said yourself is involved in the crime? How are we
Well,
gonna bypass that?
according to the killer's plan, they should have put away the investigation 10 days after the killing of the president. Because you have this collective refusal of the crime. If you read the book Management of Violence, written by the French general who used to work for the UN, LUCAS, he stated in his book, he says, when you have a collective refusal of a crime like that in the country for such a long time, it's almost 8 months, the next step is the people are going to take the street at some point, and that will be bad. I think despite all those efforts to block justice, we have made some tremendous progress for the past 8 months. The killers are in power, and they are not able to get rid of the issue on top of the wave. So I think it's a testimony of the resistance of the Haitian people, their commitment to justice. At some point, I think something is coming, and the current government will have to go. And the best thing that can happen is to ensure a good transition with some clean people, honest people who can return the country to constitutional order and support the investigation of Jean-Lac if he's appointed. But at the same time, I know the FBI is investigating into the killing of the president. At the same time, the United States in the situation is at the same time a judge and part of and somehow implicated into the killing because of the statement made by Senator John Joel Gozet, and because the killers used the name of the name of a U.S. institution, the DEA, to conduct the operation to kill the president. So I think aviation is looking positively to the FBI investigation, but they also remember the famous sentence of President Ronald Reagan, first but verified. Because the process within the DOJ, the Department of Justice of the United States, you might have a very comprehensive report from the FBI. The FBI have to submit the report to the Department of Justice, and there is a process there, and you don't know if all the components of the report will be published, because if you go back in 1995, the FBI did an investigation into the killing of the lawyer Mireille Gaucher-Bertin, and they clearly identified all the killers, but at that time, because it was not in the national interest of the United States, the report was not published. So you don't know what will happen even if the FBI concludes its report. That's why I am very supportive of a national investigation, and I am one of the person I think it would be good for the country to appoint Judge Mathieu Jean-Lac. He's very capable, and he could wrap up his report in less than 4 months.
Mr. Lucas, we're gonna end that section with one last question, and then we're gonna pass on to the next question to, I believe it's Donnell. Haiti has been dealing now with armed gangs in the streets of Port-au-Prince. The previous administrations have failed to bring peace. The current administration seems on the way to do the same thing. What do you think the problem is? Is it a lack of moral volition and a lack of of political will? Is it the police force that is inadequate, or do we need to readjust our politics here? What do you say to that?
Well, the first thing I would say, there is a double standard within the international community dealing with Haiti. It's something we need to analyze. I think if you look at the recent tweet of journalist Cyrus Cyber, it's worth looking at it. The person who was not talking, if you could put your phone on mute, that would be very useful. Thank you. I think when you talk about insecurity in Haiti, we need to go back to the roots. Insecurity started in '95 when President Aristide dissolved the army. He replaced the army by a bunch of gangs. They were the first gang created in Haiti. Remember La Rouge, La Manchette, La Rat, La Cannibal. It's where it started. When Aristide had some problem in 2004, the oligarchs of Pétionville, Reginald Boulos, Dimitri Vob, Jean-Marie Vob, they took control of those gangs. Since then, the gangs are under the control of the oligarchs and some of the large parliamentarians involved with drug trafficking, gangs, and money laundering. So, to do an evaluation and assessment of who are the actors behind the gangs, it's an easy process. If you go back and read the book available on Amazon.com called Zombie Solved, I think the intelligence unit of the minister had a comprehensive assessment who is new in the world of insecurity in Haiti. And those actors are well known. That's why a few minutes ago I told you to reinstate in Haiti, it takes 7 weeks. It's a matter of political commitment from the international community, the resources, the beef up of the police, and support from Brazil and the gang. I don't think President Jovenel failed into his effort to combat the gangs. He was undermined by some elements of the international community. For example, when President Jovenel Moïse ordered Albert Carr to support the capabilities of the police in Canada, the Canadian government didn't issue the export license for at least 6 months. They did that after the killing of the president. So there is a double talk and double standard between the international community that we need to analyze because it play also a role into the violence in Haiti. There is no clear condemnation of the people involved in kidnapping, the killing of others. This double standard for the past 8 years has caused serious damage to our efforts to build democracy in country. So this issue of security is a huge one, but I think it's a problem we can solve in 7 weeks if we can find the resources, the political commitment of Brazil and Mexico, and the clear support for increasing the capabilities of the police, the Haitian National Police. That can be solved in 7 weeks.
Ending this section, passing it to, thank you very much for answering those questions thoroughly.